Hi, it has been a year since I started to work on my project regularly and a couple of months since I started publishing videos, so I thought that would be a good time to join a proper Devlog community. So what's going on here? We are making a D&D type of game with many unique spins to encourage player to roleplay and get rid of the dice in a combat in general. But today we will discuss how to make D&D playthrough into the cartoon and how to facilitate this whole process to make it actually easy and without involving too much time. Let's start with the world that we play in. If we have just a top-down view, it will not convert well into the cartoon because we cannot see all the angles that we need. So we will have to develop first a top-down map and then some sort of a game location separately. That sounds like a lot of work and no fun. When it comes to the world development, I found game engines to be a huge time saver. We can buy a lot of world-related assets, save a lot of time on the world development, and then generally have some fun with it. The engine also includes the lighting and some cameras, so we can record the playthrough, work with the cameras, and replay or do something fancy with it afterwards. This makes things much more cartoon ready already. And we can actually have top-down view as well if we want to, because it will be basically a mini-map. But when it comes to the main characters, I want to be able to make them myself, but this basically means that I cannot make them in 3D, because when you make 3D characters not perfect, they look creepy. And if we want to overlay this with the human performance or in performance capturing in general, the creep factor just gonna increase massively. So it's much more easy to have something cute and fun when you're dealing with the 2D characters. So we will have to combine 3D world with 2D characters in general. At this point, I do have the 2D characters running around in my 3D world, but it's not exactly perfect. We're gonna keep working on that. We'll also add some abilities and game mechanics, add some platforming elements, and integrate everything into the fighting mechanic. I do not enjoy the dice rolls though, so this is where the platforming gonna come in. We're gonna experiment with the different ways to bypass the dice rolls while keeping everything simple enough and interesting enough. So we have the world, and we have the characters that are running around in the world and doing something. But it's not really enough to make it into the cartoon. In order to do it, we need some sort of animations and emotions. To do that, we can do the lip sync, which would already help us with the mouse synchronization. And after that, we can capture performance of the player or whoever is in front of the camera, and we can translate that into the character. To do that, we can use, for example, Adobe Character Animator, and we can use NDI to stream it, or alternatively, we can just record the player during the playthrough and use the face afterwards to create the cartoon. Added benefit of this process and using something like a character animator is that we can facilitate more of a private players, because we can send them the program, they can use their face to record the character and send it back to us. So you can use the motion capture of the player without even seeing the player. During the overall performance, we can flip between some pre-recorded moments, motion captured moments, and different cameras inputs, or maybe we can create some custom animations, especially for the fighting scenes. So how the whole process is going to look? We play a game, we record the position of the characters inside the level, we record the audio of the player, we record the video of the player's face. So it's my face, it's your face, it's everybody's face. We get rid of the forced wall discussions or technical questions during the editing. We use a character animator and NDI to stream things or motion capture afterwards to make sure our characters are as live as possible. And we replace the fighting scenes with something custom and nicely animated, because I think this is an important part of the game as well, because it will really help players to hey, let's describe what we see, what we want to do, because it's not only to make this moment cool right now, but for this moment to be visualized later on. So I do afraid that players will go kind of nuts with the description of what they do, but this is what we want as their dungeon masters, basically. That does look like a cool idea to me, and I do wish that some of the D&D campaigns that I follow would have some sort of visual support so I can watch them better. And I think I can find some decent balance, or at least we can develop some game where we can explore different concepts and maybe improve something and push it to the mass. One thing that we need to make sure that it's still simple for the players to play, so we don't want to include too much inside the game, and we want to actually concentrate on like, hey, let's have this experience right now, and let's make sure that we just record everything that we need for the production later on. I will also try to open source as much as possible, but I will be limited with the things that I buy because I cannot open source them. All right, I think that would be it for today. That was an interesting one to record. Let's learn and prosper. Cheers.